right. Hope everyone can hear me clearly. So today is the first class for the Office 365. So Office 365. How many of you have already worked on Office 365? Rahul, you have worked, right?
Yes, I. Um.
Raj, have you worked on Office 365 so far?
Okay.
Raj,
I haven't worked on Office 365.
okay, you have worked on on-prem extension on the cloud.
Yes, yes, correct.
How about you, Zaid? Any exposure to Office 365 so far?
No, sir.
Where is Asif today?
Uh, Sir is not answering my call.
He's probably sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay, so Office 365 is basically a cloud-based service. It is not just a single service, it is the package of many services, right? So if we first start from understanding the cloud, we have two types of cloud. Do you people know what these two types of clouds are? Can anybody tell me about two types of cloud? Rahul, Raj, anyone? So,
हेलो सर, आपकी आवाज बहुत धीरे आ रही है.
बहुत धीरे आ रही है. अभी ठीक है?
नहीं सर.
One second. अभी ठीक है?
Perfect.
हेलो.
हाँ सर, अब ठीक है.
हेलो.
हेलो.
अभी ठीक आ रही है आवाज या अभी भी स्लो है?
अभी ठीक है सर.
हेलो.
हेलो.
अभी आवाज आ रही है मेरी आप लोगों को?
हाँ जी सर, ठीक है.
Yes, Marshal.
Okay, perfect. Fine. So we have two types of clouds. What are these two type of clouds? If you know, can you, any of you, can you please tell me? The two types of cloud that we have in the market today, one is called the private cloud, which you build, and one is the public cloud, which a different organization like Microsoft, uh, Amazon build for you, right? So the example of private cloud can be your VMware infrastructure. Example of private cloud can be your Hyper-V infrastructure. These are cloud. Even the virtual machines that you create on a Hyper-V, that's an example of cloud, right? But that is private cloud which you built. Office 365, Amazon services, Google Cloud services, these are the example of Google Cloud. the public cloud, on which you don't have much control. They decide how many servers they're going to have, where your data is going to be located. Everything is at their end. Private cloud is something which you own. So Office 365 is an example of public cloud. You don't own it. Microsoft owns it, and when you want to use a service, you are called a tenant, right? Tenant का मतलब ही होता है किराएदार. So you don't own Office 365 servers. You have just bought a subscription for a temporary period. What does that mean is you will use the service as long as you pay for it. If you have bought the service for 1 year, you can use it for 1 year. If you don't pay it, you will not be able to use it. So Office 365 is an example of the public cloud, and it is not just one service, it's a complete package of services. So when you intend to go for Office 365, there are a lot of decisions that you have to make. We will cover the what are the advantages and disadvantages of the Office 365. So that is also part of the planning phase. What are the you know, what are your needs? Why do you want to go for the office or go for the Office 365? Why you should go for the Office 365? Those plannings have to be made. Those things have to be decided before you actually move on to Office 365. So if you talk about Office 365 benefits, what are these benefits? Those people who are already aware of the Office 365, can you highlight some of the advantages of going to Office 365?
It is cost effective, and
Cost
you
effective.
do not need to manage anything. I mean, server and anything. You just need to manage the users and all.
Right.
And it is very easy, not complicated,
Easy to manage.
easy to manage.
What else?
And
You rightly highlighted it's cost effective. How it is cost effective? You people would know now better since we have already gone through the on-prem exchange thing, right? So if we talk about the on-prem exchange, and first of all, let me begin from here. So Office 365, Office 365 is not only for the email solution, right? It has, yes, email is one of the major component of it, major feature of it, but it is not all of it, right? It has a lot of different features which is also used. So if I mention some of its services, they are number one, email service, email which is also called Exchange, Exchange Online. Other service that uh, you have the SharePoint,
SharePoint.
You have the OneDrive. You have the Skype. You have Teams. You have
Yammer.
Yammer. You have Office Online.
Applications.
So usually the Office product that we use, the Excel, Word, PowerPoint, we have to download them. We can use them offline, but with the Office 365, we can use the online version of Office. So if let's suppose you're working on a computer that doesn't have the MS Office installed and you want to work on the PowerPoint, Excel, or Word, you can use the online version of the Office application. Office Online. Then there are a couple of more services that are there. So Office 365 is not just one product; it's a complete package of multiple services. Email or the Exchange Online is one of the major service of it. Then SharePoint is Skype, OneDrive. Yammer is very few people use it, but Office Online is used a lot. Teams is now a lot of people are using it. It is much better than the Skype. It has a lot of different features. Even Microsoft is now switching to Teams.
Teams.
We have not started to use it as of now. We are still on the Skype internally in Microsoft, but they are switching to what to say. They are now switching to Teams. Now they are requesting people. They are not forcing it everyone, but they're requesting who can now switch to Teams. So these are some of the services. So we will be talking about the email solution first, and we'll see how the online version, the cloud version, is cheaper than the on-prem version. On-prem is on-premise that we have in our office, that we keep in our office and our on-premise that we install. We buy the server, we install everything, and we manage it. We administrate it. So that is the on-prem version. And cloud is something which is managed by a different company. They just give us a console from where we can manage those services. Not just manage, I would say we can only control our area of, our service, because on Office 3, so there are a lot of different companies there on. So we will be given access to a small portion where we have the rights, right? So from the advantages of using Office 365, the first which Rahul highlighted was the cost effective. It is cost effective. Okay, so let me give you a brief idea one more time of the the on-prem Exchange. Then we'll see how it is cost effective. So if you talk about the Exchange on-prem, we will at least have, if it is a small organization, we will at least have 2 mailbox servers. We will have 2 cache servers. Then we have the filtering solution, right? Then not only this, you need, first of all, you need the hardware. You need at least these 5 hardware servers. Hardware will cost around 3 to 4 lakh rupees, right? Depending on the configuration that you buy. Usually the exchange requires a very good hardware. So for exchange, if the minimum hardware that you go for, it will cost you between 2.5 or 3 lakh rupees. So 5 servers you need to buy, 5 Windows Server operating you need, right? Either Windows Server 2008, 12, or 16. That has a cost. Then Exchange server that you will install for the email, you have to buy that. That is separately licensed. So depending on number of the mailboxes that you are going to create, you will have to buy the Exchange license. Then space you need, then power you need, right? Then to manage all these things, you need the main force, right? You need people, you need expert people. Exchange cannot be managed by just a normal engineer, a fresher engineer, or an engineer who has a couple of years of experience. Managing Exchange requires a lot of expertise, right? So it has a lot of cost associated. And then your hardware goes faulty time to time, it stops working, you have to replace them. So that maintenance cost comes in, power also, a lot of cost comes into the picture. When you move to the Office 365, for example, you don't have to manage anything. You don't have to buy any server, any operating system, and you don't need to manage high availability. High availability is taken care by the Microsoft. So the only thing which they will give you is they will give you a web-based console, which will say https office.com or login.microsoftonline.com. From there, you can create the user account, delete the user account, you can manage the permission and all that, right? So this is a very big advantage of Office 365 over the on-prem exchange. Apart from this, Office 365 has the online version of Office application. So we usually, if you want to work on the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, traditionally, we have to install Office on our computer and then use it. If we don't have Office installed on our computer, we will either use Notepad, WordPad. They don't have those many features which an Office application has. So if you're working from a cyber cafe, or you're working from outside a company, a place wherein there is no Office installed and you want to work, now what's the solution? You need Office. So Office 365 provides you with the online version of the Office application. So you will have the Excel online, Word online, PowerPoint online, Access online, everything which is there in the offline package, you will have it in the online package. Online package, okay. Apart from that, what other applications? What other advantages of Office 365? Compliance management. When I say compliance management, a lot of companies face this issue in meeting their compliance. What happens? A company buys 100 license of Office, Microsoft Office, and engineers, your on-site engineers, they end up installing it on more than 100 computers. So you bought license only for 100 licenses, for 100 machines, 100 installations, and you installed it on 150 and 200 computers. So the compliance of the company got breached, right? So when you use Office 365, the licensing is not based on the license key. Usually, if you people might already know about it, when you install a software, it asks for the license key. So we put in that license key. If that license key is valid, your copy will be activated. Office 365 doesn't use any license key. It works on your login ID. So if I want to use Office on my computer and I have the valid ID created on the Office 365, I will install the Office application and I will use my login ID to activate it, right? And once my ID is disabled, that copy of Office installation will also get deactivated. So this way you can manage 100% compliance. Only the people who have the ID created, has the Office 365 license assigned, only they can use the Office application. No one else can use it. So company can meet the compliance. Anything else that you people can think of in the advantage of Office 365? No. So let's talk about the disadvantages now. What is the disadvantage? What are the disadvantages of Office 365? Satya, Rahul, Raj. No one? One of the disadvantages of Office 365 can be you are giving your data to a different company, right? Your emails, anything which you are storing there is with a different company. So some companies don't like that. Mostly the banks, other financial institutions, they don't prefer going to the Office 365 because of the sharing data with a different company. But after the assurance from Microsoft of the security, a lot of companies now have switched to Office 365. So that is one of the disadvantages you can say that people think of, that they not prefer going to the Office 365. From the other disadvantages, you can say you since you don't manage it, you have no control over the high availability. If something has gone wrong, the Microsoft, and which is rare, Microsoft promises you 99.99% of uptime. So the possibility of the service outage is very rare, but it is there. So in case if something goes wrong, you have no control. You will have to wait for Microsoft to fix that problem for you. You cannot do anything, right? So fine, these are some of the advantages and disadvantages of going to Office 365. Now, when you intend to go to Office 365, where you will start from? What are the decisions that you have to make first before moving on to the Office 365? Raj.
Get
What you should look for first before moving on to Office 365?
infrastructure wise or how security wise?
Anything like now you have decided to go on Office 365. What are the things that you should study that you need so that you can make the right decision. Office 365 is a subscription based service. It is not a product which you buy, right?
Mhm.
It is a subscription based service. And in that service, you have multiple features or services, right? For example, when you want to go for Tata Sky or Dish TV, you decide, so they have different packages. And for those different packages, they have different prices. Same as with the Office 365 also. They have different packages, and in each package there is a different set of services, and they have different prices. So what decisions are you going to make? What are you going to look for in your organization before deciding which particular service or subscription to buy?
Okay, so first of all, I'll see how bigger my organization is, and second thing, how many users I have in my organization. Accordingly, for the management purpose, I'll see how much it cost us, and no doubt it's easy manageable. That's a different thing, but the cost is also matters, because if we have more than 1 lakh users worldwide, then it costs a lot, right? So
Uh,
these are the things I'll see, and accordingly, if report is made that this many users we have, and this is the cost uh, we need to bear, and uh, yeah, and effectively, whether my company is able to bear such cost, is whether or not, like that. These are the
you're right. So it is not only about the cost, but you're right. This is one of the factors. You're right. The other thing which you are going to decide is what services do we need, right? Do we need the SharePoint? Do we need the OneDrive? Do we need the Yammer? Do we need the Teams? Right. So Office 365 has different, as I said, packages. So, for example, the different licenses they have. They have the small business license.
Business Essential, Business Premium.
Exactly. Business essential they have, right? Business premium they have.
Enterprise E3, E1, E5.
Enterprise E1, E3 they have enterprise licenses. Enterprise licenses they have. Then
Kiosk.
the, sorry,
Kiosk.
kiosk license they have. Then the non-profit license they have for the non-profit organizations. For the educational institutions, they have licenses. So they have licenses for different company types, and the features vary across them. So if you go for business essential or business premium, you have, a different set of services. Some of them may have the email service, some of them may not have it. Some of them may have the office online feature available, some of them may not have it, right? Some of them have the 50 GB of mailbox, some of them may have the 100 GB of space available, right? So now you have to decide, okay, how many people do I want to go to Office 365 to, right? Let's say you have 5,000 people in your company, and you decide out of these 5,000, 2,000 are my critical users. I would not like to have their data on the Office 365, right? 2,000, but there are 3,000 users. They're non-critical, they're agent level, and in about these 2,000 people you're not going to take to Office 365, 3,000 people you want to take them to Office 365. Okay, now you will decide what size of what size do we need? Okay, we need at least 50 GB of mailbox. Okay, fine. Then you decide, okay, I need SharePoint. Do we need SharePoint? Yes or no? According to that, you will decide. Uh, do we need OneDrive or other services? So after you have decided, okay, I need these many services and I need this much of space available. Now you will go and speak to either Microsoft or to the partner of Microsoft. We have both the options. We can either go directly to the Microsoft or we can go to the partners of Microsoft. So based on you will have your requirements ready. You will speak to the either Microsoft representative or you will speak to the partner and you will tell them your requirement. Okay, this is my requirement. Then they will see if they have a predefined license already available. If your requirements can be satisfied by the Business Essential, Business Premium, or in enterprise. In enterprise, you have like multiple licenses, E1, E3, E5, right? They have different set of services and different size of availability of the size. So it is said that if you have more than 300 of mailboxes, you should go for the enterprise. If you have less than 300 of mailboxes, you can choose anyone from the Business Essential or Business Premium. So most probably in any mid-sized to big-size organization, you are going to go for the enterprise license, either E3 or E5. So you went to them, they will see, okay, yes, we have, if they have a predefined already available, they will give it to you. They will tell you, okay, E3 will satisfy your requirement. So you buy the E3, then you negotiate with them depending on the number of licenses that you buy. With partner, you can negotiate a lot. In case if the predefined licenses do not fulfill your requirement, there is the possibility of customizing it. Microsoft can give you a customized package based on your requirement. But now Microsoft has, hundreds of licenses available, hundreds of licenses. One of those predefined licenses are definitely going to satisfy your requirement, that is for sure. But if there is a rare situation where it cannot, then they will give you the customized package. Okay, so based on your requirement, you also have to keep the cost in mind. For example, for E1, if it is $10, I'm not saying this is the exact amount, but this is just an example. $10 for E1, E3 they may be like $20 per user. E5 maybe $25 to $30 per user, right? So apart from the requirement, you also have to keep the cost in mind. So once you have decided that, you go to Microsoft and buy that. If you want to buy from Microsoft, you have to go to their portal, sign up, and buy the license. This is how you are going to do this. Oh, this is for the home user. So even for the home user, if you see, it's 4,000 per year. So if we go for the enterprise one, buy Office 365, enterprise licenses. See, for enterprise, 530 rupees per month per user. For E1, 1320 rupees for E3, and 2000 per month. This cost is per month. So if an employee joins a company and you give him the Office 365 for 1 year, and in case if it is E5, you can see how much it is going to cost. So you will go to this place, whichever license you want to buy, you want to go for, just click buy. Create an account, and that's it. Then you can request for the licenses. If you are going through a partner may get this account created for you and then give the credential to you. When you decide to go for Office 365, you have to set up your tenant first, right? Now we are going to stay in a house. You negotiated with the owner. They gave you a price, okay, 15,000 per month. You gave it to that. Agreement was prepared. So this agreement that we prepare is called the tenant agreement, right? So you set up the account which is called tenant account. The first account which you set up is the tenant account. And when you set up your tenant account, you have to keep in mind that this cannot be changed later. Also, when you set up your tenant, you set up the time zone. Okay, which time zone I work in. You decide on the which data center you want to get your data to be located, right? These decisions can be made only once and it cannot be changed later. For data storage, like which particular data center you want to store it, Microsoft gives you, I guess, the grace period of 30 days. Within 30 days, if you send a request to change it from maybe initially when you created it, you selected US, but now you want your data to be relocated to India data center. So I guess, I don't know, I don't remember exactly it's whether it is 20 days or 30 days, but it's somewhere near there, near that. You will have to decide where you want to keep your data, and your data will be moved accordingly. So setting up an account is setting up a tenant which cannot be changed later on, and it should be unique. Time zone, once selected, cannot be changed later on. And for the data, you have the 30 days, 20 days, 30, whatever it is, the grace period. Right, so to sum this up, once you have decided to go for Office 365, you will either speak to Microsoft directly or you will speak to a partner, get the uh, put up your requirement, get the tenant set up first thing. The account which you set up on the Office 365 is called it is called setting up tenant, right? So let's go. Should we set up a tenant here? Let's do that. Office 365 Enterprise E3. So they also give you the free trial. Let's go for the free trial. It's going to my Office 360, sorry, the Microsoft account, which should not let me, because my company gives me the single sign-on option. So VPN is not connected for sure. No. Create a new account. Okay.
Incognito mode पे चलाइए.
I did that, but it's still taking me to my Microsoft account. Okay, perfect. So I select India. I do this. Business email address 20 at. So this is called the setting up tenant. So you choose your user account name. For example, I choose Naushad is the user ID. Now, based on your company name, you will type in here. This is going to be unique globally. So if I say, for example, Olive Tech, I have already created it. It's not going to, I guess, if they have not deleted my previous account because I have used it, not available. Try a different name. Olive Techs, I do. Should be available. Yes, this one is available. Right. So let's create a password. This is called setting up a tenant. Okay, fine. Phone, don't do that. Text me or call me. You have the network problem, don't do either. Okay, call me. I got the call.
Anushad, one question here.
Yep.
So to practice Office 365, all the steps and all the things, do we need a local setup or online? We can do each and everything.
You can do everything online the way I am doing it. So this is the, even if you go for the actual account for the company, you will follow exactly the same step.
Okay, so all the configuration like MX Record, EOP, each and everything online.
We will
Here we
do
can.
everything. We will do everything online, and everything that we'll do for the actual account, we can do that in the trial account also.
Okay, okay. I'm asking because for the local, it's a big thing to do a setup because we need a 16 or 32 GB RAM, all the.
No, Office 365 is already online, right?
Yeah, that's
So You are not never going to install Office 365
Hmm.
on the I mean Office 365 subscription. It is this cloud based, so you don't have to do anything.
But for the hybrid environment, do we need to set up for the migration, right?
We will set that up. We already have the Exchange environment ready, right?
No, we don't have. I don't have
No, you
actually.
don't. So you have not created your lab.
No.
You should have. In case if you have not done it, you can do it now because the lab which I showed you earlier, I'm going to use the same lab to set up the hybrid environment, to show you the cutover migration, to show you the hybrid migration. So I would recommend, if you have not done it yet, please go ahead and create a lab first. You have the free resources available, right? Keep it on Amazon. It will take you, half an hour to learn how to create virtual machine and how to get the communication established between the virtual machines. But once you've done that, you can use those machines and you can create, I guess, 3 to 4 different machines in practice as the way you want.
But while creating virtual machine, we need to give the local RAM, na? Local
In the
machine.
AWS or Google Cloud, there is nothing local. You don't need anything. Even if you have 1 GB of RAM in your
Ah,
computer, that is more than enough.
oh, that's fine then. Okay. Okay. I was thinking that we need to, put a local RAM even to create a virtual. That's why I didn't do anything.
No, 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 nothing is required. So if you look at this laptop which I have, it has the 32 GB of RAM, but the previously on which I have given you the training, it
Hmm.
only had 4 GB of RAM. So I
Okay.
was using Amazon, AWS or the Google Cloud, and
Okay.
you don't need much resources there.
Okay. So which is better? I mean, easily we can do it. Either it's a Google or Amazon Web Services or Azure.
Anyone, they all have same functionality.
Okay. And you have created on AWS, right? No, it's Azure.
So I first did it on Office Azure
Hmm.
when it expired because every 2 months I have the new class. So I have
Hmm.
there were 4 to 5 different debit cards which I use for in Azure, and they have said done. No, not more than those now. So then first time I used AWS and I found it pretty good.
Hmm. Yeah.
I was thinking maybe they charged me because I used there a lot of machines with a lot of configuration, but I
Hmm.
went through my statement. They didn't charge anything. They charged 1 rupee, which they returned after one day or 2 days.
Hmm.
Fine. So we have set up our tenant. This is how it looks like, the first page. Being an administrator, you will manage your Office 365 from this admin console. Okay. So tenant is set up. We are ready to start uh, creating the mailboxes, but but now we have to decide, depending on the organization. Not each organization, or not all the organization will have the same configuration. So each organization will use Office 365 in its own way. A small organization will use it as the standalone. I mean, there will not be any hybrid configuration. They will not be using their Exchange on-prem. So they were previously on a cloud solution. Maybe they were using the Gmail service, Yahoo service, a Microsoft Live service. Now they want to switch to Office 365. So even previously they had the cloud version of email now, and they again want to go to cloud, which is Office 365. Or maybe they had the on-prem version, but they don't want to manage their setup entirely themselves, and they want to switch to Office 365 100%, no hybrid. And there will be some organization as the example which I gave you in the starting of this class, that there were 5,000 people. They want to keep 2,000 people on-prem and 3,000 people online. So that is the hybrid configuration. So depending on what company wants, you will decide it, right? So first we are going to study about in fact, we are going to study all three options. So when you use or intend to use Office 365, you have three options. There are three ways you can let your users use the Office 365 or access the Office 365. What are these three ways? Number one is cloud only, right? So cloud only means yes. So let's say you have your company here. They have their Active Directory. AD, they have their computers. For the email service, they were using a service from Gmail, right? Even from Gmail, you can buy a service, Uh, so if you buy a service from Gmail, they will provide you email IDs based on your domain. For example, my domain is olivetech.com. olivetech.com, right? So I want my email ID as Nashad at olivetech.com. So if you go to Gmail and tell them I have 50 users, and for 50 users, I want email IDs based on this olivetech.com domain, they will give you that. They will charge you for that, and they will give you that. Fine. So this company had, let's say, 50 people, and for those 50 people, they had the Gmail solution. Now they want to switch to Office 365. So this is the, let's say, Office 365, and this is their environment. Office 365 has got its own AD, which is called AAD, Azure AD. And then they have their Exchange server. Remember, in Exchange, Office 365 case, you don't manage the Exchange server, exchanges with the Microsoft. So you say, okay, we want to switch from Gmail to Office 365. So you create all your mailboxes here in the Office 365, and you basically do the IMAP migration. We'll talk about that later. Or let's say this company was not using anything. They did not have the Gmail or anything. This is a new company. They want to use the Office 365. So this company now wants to use Office 365 for 50 users, right? So they will have to create mailboxes on the Office 365, and they can use it in 3 different ways. Uh, so let's say their user ID previously, they had a user ID on Active Directory, right? So every company creates, every sizable organization will have their own AD infrastructure, wherein they will have the user ID created to log into their computers, to access their file services, or print, or any service which they have in their company, in their office. They will use that account to authenticate that service and use it, right? So let's say there is a user ID created, for example, Rahul, Anshul, Raj. These IDs, these are the employees, and their IDs are created on on-premise Active Directory, right? Now this company has decided to use Office 365 email. Now, this company, Olive Tech, wants to give its user ability to send and receive email, right? So for these 50 people, they have decided to go for Office 365. So on Office 365, admin of Olive Tech will create their account here. So when they will create their account here, the user ID will be different. User ID will be different. User ID, password will be different. This setup is called cloud only, right? So people, when they want to log into their computer or access file server, right? Access file server, they will use the user ID and password created on their Active Directory. And when they want to use Office 365, they will use a different set of user ID, password. So this kind of setup is called cloud only, wherein this user ID and password is separate on the cloud with the Office 365, and their on-prem user ID and password is different. So this is one way of using Office 365. The another way is to use uh, DIRSync, they call it. They used to call it DIRSync before, now they call it Azure AD Connect. So what this Azure AD Connect does, uh, instead of creating a separate user ID here, what you can do, there is a software component from Office 365 which is freely available. It's a free service. You can download that on your Active Directory server, right? And let's say you install, I will use its old name just to avoid the confusion, DIRSync, directory sync. It's short for directory synchronization. So Office 365 uses its separate Active Directory. We use our separate Active Directory in our organization. So what this DIRSync does is it syncs your user ID, let's say Rahul, and the password of Rahul. It doesn't sync the password specifically, it syncs the hash of the password. So each password that you create for the user, it generates a hash value, right? So it syncs that hash. But here too, there are a lot of fresher people or those people who may not be, uh, you know, familiar with these terms, hashing and all that. I will use as password. So when you use DIRSync, the password of Rahul, the user ID and the password will get synced to the Active Directory of Office 365. Each user that is user group, any mail enabled object, will get synced to your Office 365. User ID, password. So what happens is now the same user ID that you used to use to log into your computer in your office or access the file server, you can use the same user ID password to access your Office 365. This is an example of uh, what do we call it? Same login, same login. So one is single sign-on, one is same sign-on. So this is an example of same sign-on, wherein you are not using two different ID password to access two different services. You are using the same ID and password to access two different services, right? Any questions so far? Anyone? Feel free to ask question, no shyness.
Naushad, Rahul.
Yes, Rahul.
So when we were talking about the password synchronization, whenever we set up a password synchronization, we do not share the exact password. I mean the same password with Azure Active Directory.
That is right.
We share the password hash.
Password hash, yes.
Yes, and we have used, as you mentioned, that you're using a older, version named Darsing,
Yeah,
but and now the new name is Azure AD Connect AAD.
you already can it. Yes. Anyone else has any question? Varun?
Naushad, I have one question. This is Satya.
Yes, Satya.
So what is the difference between same sign-on and single sign-on?
I'm coming to that. So
Okay.
single sign-on is when, for example, you logged into your computer when you came in the morning, you logged into your computer. Now, whichever service you use, it will not ask you for user ID and password again. Whether you access Office 365 or any service which is single sign-on enabled. For example, when you come to in your company, when you want to access file server, let's say your file server name is file server, right? You hit enter. Does it ask you for the user ID credential? It does not. If that file server is domain joined, it will never ask you for the user ID and password. If you have permission on that particular folder, it will give you the access. If you do not have that, it will give you access denied. But
Yes.
it will not ask you to type in your user ID password again. Why? Because your ID is created on the same domain. The computer that you are logged in, it is joined to the same domain, and the file server that you are accessing is joined to the same domain. Right? Let me explain this a little bit more.
Hello, Naushad, Rahul.
Yes, Rahul.
The same sign-on is a feature of Azure Active Directory, where Darsing, and the
Does
single sign-on is a service of hybrid environment.
not really, not really. I will explain that to you. Basically, to enable the single sign-on, we need federation, right? So I will come to federation in a while.
ADFS.
ADFS, yes.
Okay.
But before going to ADFS, let me explain this internal architecture, right? So let's say you have your Active Directory. You have your file server. You have your all these things are within the company only, right? Application. Maybe you have your CRM. So this is file server. This is your some application server. This is your CRM server. The domain name which you have, it is let's say OOTC.com. All these servers are joined to this domain, right? Now let's create the computer objects. These computers are also domain joined. And you have this computer which is not domain joined, it's in work group. Domain joined computers. Now there was a user ID. Let's call it user ID is Rahul. Password is 123. This user ID and password was created on this area. Now with this user ID, you, for example, logged into this computer, right? Where you came in the morning and you logged into this computer. You have access to this data folder on the file server. So when you double backslash and put the name or the IP address of the server, it will not ask you to retype your user ID and password to access, because your computer belongs to this domain and your file server belongs to this domain. File server trusts your user account because they all share the same database. This is more to do with the Kerberos. Kerberos we have already gone through in the Active Directory, how that Kerberos works, how the TGT works. So for now, just understand, because this file server and this computer is joined to the same domain, they trust each other. So when this user will access this file server, it will not ask it to retype its user ID or password. Same as with this application. When Rahul will access this application, it will not ask for any user ID password. Same as with this CRM. When he will access the CRM, it will not ask for the user ID and password. The only time he had to put in the user credential when he logged in the morning, right? But if you go to any workgroup computer, you will have a separate user ID and password to log into this work computer. The domain ID is not going to work on this workgroup computer. To log into this workgroup computer, you will have the separate user ID password. So let's say Rahul has its own user ID created on this computer as Rahul, and the password as 1234, a separate user ID and password to log into this workgroup computer, because this computer is not joined to this computer. Right now, when Rahul try to access this file server, it will prompt for the user ID password. Why? Because this file server doesn't recognize this computer. So you have to supply the user ID and password that this file server recognizes, and it recognizes only the user ID and passwords that are created in here. So Rahul will have to use this credential to access the file server or the application server or the CRM server, right? Make sense?
Yes, Naushad, it does. Thank you.
Okay. So this is internally. So if we remove this workgroup thing from the picture, if we remove this workgroup thing from picture, everything is single sign-on. Once you, Rahul, logs into this computer, let's call it PC1. Let's try it like this. PC1. he doesn't have to resupply the user ID and password, and he will be able to access anything which is domain joined, right? Now, this company did not have the email solution. They want to go for the email solution, right? So to do that, let's say they are going to Office 365. Now, Office 365 is a product of a different company. Office 365 is the product of Microsoft, right? They have their own active, they have nothing to do with our Active Directory. They have their own AD, which is called Azure AD. A-A-T, Azure Active Directory. Then they have their Exchange server deployed. Then they have their SharePoint server deployed. Then they have their OneDrive server deployed. For different services, different servers. Now, to access these services, so Microsoft, what Microsoft has done, these services, this Exchange is joined to this domain, this ID, and this SharePoint is joined to this, and this is joined to this. So if you have an account created here that can be used, this single account can be used to access all these applications. Just like this account created on this server can be accessed to access all these computers here, all these services here. Now, this Olive Tech company has decided to go to Office 365 for email solutions, SharePoint solution, OneDrive solution. And they want to use, so they have two options. Either they will create a separate account for Rahul here. On Azure AD, they create a user account. Rahul, and they create a separate password. So people on their computer, when they will access file server app CRM, they will use this user ID and password. And when they will open Office 365 on their computer, they will use a different user ID password created on the Azure Active Directory. This is an example of cloud only, right? Now, but the company decides no, they don't want to use two separate accounts. They want to use the same account which is in their own Active Directory to access the Office 365. So Office 365 Microsoft provides you that option. It gives you the software previously called DirSync, now called Azure AD Connect. So basically a tool to connect to Azure Active Directory. This is Azure Active Directory here. And this particular software will give you ability to sync your user, replicate your user to from your on-prem Active Directory to the Azure Active Directory. Now, the difference between the on-prem Active Directory and Azure Active Directory, on-prem Active Directory works in different containers. So you have the forest container, then you have domain, then you have OUs. Azure Active Directory doesn't work like that. It works on tenant, right? So the tenant account which we have set up, and when Azure AD Connect would be used, so for example, on this computer, when we install Azure AD Connect here, and then it will ask you to provide you with the tenant ID and password. So the moment you will supply the user ID and password, it will connect with the portion in the database registered or associated with your tenant account. So tenant, remember you created on Office 365, it gave you a portion in the Azure Active Directory database. So the moment you install Azure AD Connect here and supply your user ID credential, it will connect you with that portion of the database on the Azure AD Connect. And then it will give you the option, okay, what are the things that you want to sync? In Azure AD Connect, you can say, okay, I want to sync all the users in this particular OU, or I want to sync everyone in this particular domain, right? So that you can decide which set of user you want to sync to Azure Active Directory. On Azure Active Directory, they will not be in that structure. They will be directly in the database based on the CN name. CN name, the username. Okay, you will get confused. Leave aside. Those people who have gone through the Active Directory know already what CN name is. So everything that you sync from here, it will be synced into the Azure Active Directory. And once this ID is synced here in Azure Active Directory, it will not automatically have these services. To use these services, you will have to assign license, right? So now let me show you how it will look like on the Office 365. Whatever I'm showing you, don't think this is the test environment. This is exactly the replica of real environment. In the real environment, you are not going to do anything different. So this is the Office 365 console. And if you go to users, active users, you see one account here. This is the same account that we created at the time of tenant creation. So right now you don't see any user ID here apart from the first one. So let's create a user account. Rahul Singh. Now it's asking you for the user account. Let's go back to the map. So this is, right now we are not using any Azure AD Connect. Rahul has different ID to access his resources in his company, and to access Office 365, we are creating a separate account on this place. So we'll have to create a different user ID. I'll call it Rahul Les. You see location, India, password auto-generated, or if you want to generate one yourself, let me create a password, okay? Now I'll give the password as admin@123. Okay, make this user change a password when they first sign in. I'll remove it. So you see everything is differently. Product license, it says, do you want to assign license? If you want to create a user without assigning a license, you can do so. In fact, we will create this user ID without a license for now. Add, which requires.
Check the box, last one, not recommended.
Okay, I create a user pro without the licenses. This user will not be able to use Office 3 until you assign a product license. Okay, fine. Adding the user, send password email, no, close. So user ID is created here, but this is unlicensed. So now we have created a user ID on Azure AD for Rahul, and he has a different user ID in his own Active Directory, in his own company. I'm repeating everything again and again so that these things get clear. A lot of people have a lot of confusion, even though they have been working on Office 3 for a long time. So here, but can this user access email now, SharePoint, OneDrive? No, because we have not assigned licenses. So now, if instead of creating separate accounts here, if you were using Azure AD Connect, and we would have decided, okay, all the user IDs and groups in this Active Directory should be synced to Azure Active Directory, you would see those accounts listed here. All the users that were there in your Active Directory, they would show you here. And you would see one more column here that would see synced from Active Directory. Synced from Active Directory. How do you differentiate between a user which is cloud only, means जिसको आपने directly यहाँ पे बनाया है Office 365 पे, and a user account that has got synced from Active Directory? That column, that option will tell you. In case if it is created directly on Office 365, it will say in cloud. In case if it was synced from your on-prem Active Directory, it will say sync from Active Directory. Right? In both the cases, license will not be assigned. Whenever you run the Azure AD sync on your Active Directory, you sync user from on-prem Active Directory to online Active Directory, Azure Active Directory, no licenses are assigned automatically. So by default, they will not have any services. So
where it is written whether it's created on Office 365 directly, and
you see this status column here?
yes.
After status, there will be one more column added.
Okay.
Right
now
now,
it's
since
not
we are
there.
not using Azure Active Directory, that column is not showing up here. Maybe we have any option to change the view, I don't know. No, since we are not using the synchronization yet, that the option is not shown, but you will see that option here. The fourth column will be added, and it will say either in cloud or the synced with Active Directory. Okay, Raj.
Yes, Nusha.
Okay, so see, now we want to see if this user has any mailbox created to use the email services. So when you go to this, this is the same console that you will see, 99% same as the console that we worked on the on-prem Exchange. So when you go to recipients and mailboxes, you will not see any mailbox created for Rahul. Right? So for Rahul, there is nothing. So similarly, if you go for PowerPoint or any other services, you will not find it there. Now let's assign a license. How do you assign a license? To assign a license, you will have to go to this active users, double click this, product license edit. It will show you how many licenses you have. You have total 25 licenses, out of which you have 24 left because one license has been given to the first account. So let's assign the license. Now, when you assign the license, it will give you the option what other services that you want to give to the user. Do you want to give user the ability to access Teams? If it is on, they will be able to access Teams. If you turn it off, they cannot use Teams. But it doesn't mean you can save the license or give it to someone else who doesn't have the license signed. Even if you give one single service, the entire license will still be in use. Right? So you have all these services mentioned here. Any service that you don't want to give to the user, you can turn it off. For example, you don't want to give Skype for business, you can turn it off. I will leave it on for now. So save. Product license assigned. Close. The moment you assign the license, an exchange account will automatically get, the mailbox will automatically get created. So on the on-prem version that we studied so far, we had to create a user account in Active Directory, then create a mailbox manually in Exchange, selecting that user account for which user you want to create it, right? In Office 365, the moment you assign a license, a mailbox is created. Now, if you go back to the Exchange, what is this? Refresh. You see this? Rahul as the mailbox created. Similarly, not only the mailbox, he will have the account created for the SharePoint, Skype, everything that user is using. And this account can be used to access all those different applications, right? So this is so the example of two types of authentication in cloud and Azure AD Connect. In cloud, you will have two separate accounts. In the Azure AD Connect, you will have the same user ID and password synced from your Office AD to Azure AD. And you can use the same user account to access services in your office and the access services in the Office 365, right? Now, the third option is single sign-on. So even when you use Azure AD Connect, you log into your computer, and if you want to use Office 365, you will go to Office 365 portal. Then you will have to retype your ID and password, same user ID password, you will have to retype, but you will have to retype. It will not automatically get logged in. So, but with the federated environment, there is a different service that you have to use that is called ADFS, Active Directory Federation Service, to achieve the single sign-on. So when you use ADFS, nothing of this will be shared. I mean, the user ID and password will not sync with Azure Active Directory. What happens, you have to install a different server here. Not this ADFS environment is very complicated. One single server is not sufficient. There are quite a few services. We will come to ADFS. I will try to cover as much as possible of ADFS in the test environment. Not everything that you can achieve, you can do in test environment of ADFS, but I will try to cover as much as possible. So you will have to install this ADFS here. I'm creating a very basic example here. Let me do this. Let me rename this app as ADFS. ADFS. So when you implement ADFS, it works on the claim based token and then claim based. So what happens when a user sitting here tries to access Office 365, it will redirect that user. So this Azure AD will not have the password for that user. So when you access this, for example, you went to Office 3, the moment you open the office365.com portal, you went to this. The moment you type in your user ID as Rahul at olivetechsolutions.com, it will recognize that, that this user comes from a federated environment. So this Azure Active Directory will uh, forward a request to this ADFS, and ADFS will get that request forwarded to Azure Active Directory, sorry, your own Active Directory, and get the password from here, because where is the password located? On your Active Directory. So this is how it's gonna, recognize your user ID and password and get you logged in. The benefit with this is you don't have to retype your user ID password again and again, because you have already logged into your computer. The same ID and password will be automatically supplied, will go to AD, and it will recognize based on the user account that you are from the federated environment. It will forward a request to ADFS, and ADFS will forward a request to AD, get the user ID, get the claim from here, and get you logged in. So this is the example of single sign on. Single sign on matlab, once you log in, you don't have to log in again and again for different services. Within the office, within your own office, you don't require any ADFS because those computers are joined to this domain. But this Office 365 is with Microsoft, and this Exchange server is not joined to your domain. They have their own Active Directory where they are joined to. So to achieve single sign-on here, when a service is owned by a different company, you use ADFS. We will talk about ADFS later on in a lot detail, but for now, that's it. So ADFS will basically give you a single sign-on. So we discuss about three options that we have to access Office 365. One is in cloud or cloud only. Second one is Azure AD Connect. Azure AD Connect will provide you with the same sign-on, not single sign-on. Same sign-on means same user ID password to access those two different services with the same user ID password. Single sign-on, to achieve single sign-on, you need ADFS. With ADFS, with single sign-on, you don't have to type your ID and password again and again. Once you logged into your computer, that's all is required. Make sense? Any questions, anyone?
Naushad bhai,
Yes.
this is also similar to SAML, right? Security Assertion Markup Language, the whole authentication process.
Uh,
Like for example, if we open Office 365 in the browser, instead of getting a logon screen, it will send the request to the ADFS server. Then
right.
ADFS server will authenticate us using the Active Directory credentials, and then we'll get a token, which will we then use to access Office 365.
Absolutely.
So is it
Right.
similar to SAML, right?
Yes,
Right.
it is. It is.
Oh.
Any
And for example, Naushad bhai, if you access Office 365 outside, not within the internal network, you still get a logon screen or same process ही होगा फिर से?
नहीं, अगर जिस कंप्यूटर में आपने लॉगिन किया है, अब अगर आप कंपनी के बाहर से लॉगिन कर रहे हैं, तो दैट कंप्यूटर विल नॉट बी जॉइंड टू योर एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी, राइट?
राइट.
तो वो आपको लॉगिन पेज देगा, वो लेकिन लॉगिन पेज जो होगा वो ऑफिस 365 का नहीं होगा, वो ADFS का होगा.
Okay, okay.
Because Office 365 doesn't have your credential.
Right. ठीक है ना, समझ गया.
So when a company wants more secured environment, they implement ADFS. That is also one of the reasons.
Okay.
But this ADFS has its own story in itself. But the people who are working on ADFS know how difficult it is to work with ADFS. A lot of companies have started switching from ADFS. But yes, many of the companies are still using it. Any other questions from anyone else?
नौशाद भाई, वरुण बोल रहा हूँ अभी।
हाँ
वो
वरुण।
मैंने ज्वाइन थोड़ा सा, आई ज्वाइन लेट। जस्ट वांटेड टू नो, वो हमने एक्सचेंज का वो माइग्रेट कर दिया था
नहीं
2006?
यार, मुझे टाइम नहीं मिल पाया उसके लिए, लास्ट वीक इंटायर वीक में।
ओके।
हाँ, तो मैंने नहीं किया इंस्टॉल, लेकिन उसमें कुछ है नहीं, बस आप वो जो लेटेस्ट वर्जन है वो इंस्टॉल करेंगे।
जी।
उसके बाद का जो भी प्रोसेस था मैंने बताया था आपको क्या करना है, तो इन केस
राइट
अगर आप
राइट
लोग अपने
राइट
लैब में कर रहे हैं तो उसको
राइट।
करके देखिएगा, वो होगा। देयर इज नो रीजन के वो ना हो।
ओके।
और मैंने एक लैब दिया था आप लोगों को, पता नहीं ट्यूसडे या वेडनेसडे, मौका
Yeah,
मिला
I
तो
was
उसको
trying. Yeah, I tried few of them. I was able to do, और वो थोड़ा सा रह गया था, बट कर लूंगा सर।
हाँ, जो कहीं भी अगर टेक्निकल कोई रोड ब्लॉक होता है तो या तो आप मुझे पिंग गूगल कीजिए, अगर उसमें कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है तो कभी भी ड्यूरिंग वीकडेज भी मुझे पिंग कर दीजिए व्हाट्सएप पे, मैं कोशिश करूंगा
जी।
कि उसका।
ओके, क्योंकि एक्चुअली ये सैमुअल वाला मैं आज पढ़ रहा था, सो आई वाज
अच्छा।
एबल टू गेट। मैंने सोचा पूछ लूं, अब आप उठ रहा है तो
हाँ
थैंक यू।
ये सैमुअल के थ्रू ही होगा ये। नौशाद भाई, मैं कुछ इसमें बोलूं थोड़ा सा?
हाँ बिल्कुल, बोलिए बिल्कुल।
So
यस।
whenever we try to access the Office 365, we enter a domain name, username, password. Office 365 will accept that request and will find out whether it is a normal domain name or a federated domain name.
राइट
If it is a federated domain name, it will proxy a request to your ADFS server. और आप जो एड्रेस बार में जो आपका एड्रेस आ रहा होगा ना, वो भी चेंज हो जाएगा, आप नोटिस करेंगे तो।
गो बैक टू यस।
And ADFS will take that request and will approach AD. AD को बोलेगा भाई आप इसको ऑथेंटिकेट करो कि इट इज अ वैलिड यूजर और नॉट।
राइट
वंस AD उसको वैलिडेट कर देगी, वहां से वो सैमुअल टोकन जनरेट होगा जो कि हमारे ऑफिस 365 के पास जाएगा।
राइट
वहीं पे नहीं होगा, ऑफिस 365 ही जेसन टोकन जनरेट करता है। दैट टोकन, उस टोकन के साथ वो यूजर की मशीन पे जाता है, फिर यूजर को एक्सेस मिलता है।
राइट राइट राइट।
तो इसमें भी एडीएफएस का तो मैंने भी आपको एक ही सर्वर दिखाया है अभी। इसमें जब आप एडीएफएस सेटअप करते हैं, यू हैव टू हैव अ यूआरएल, यू हैव टू हैव अ एसएसएल सर्टिफिकेट विद दैट यूआरएल। आपको एक,
लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स।
हाँ क्या नाम है, क्या नाम है, डीएमजी में आपको एक प्रॉक्सी रखना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि बाहर से
बाहर
जो
से
इंटरनल यूजर एक्सेस करेंगे उनका रिक्वेस्ट तो एडीएफएस पर डायरेक्ट चला जाएगा, लेकिन जब बाहर से आप एक्सेस करेंगे तो वो रिक्वेस्ट कभी भी आपके इंटरनल एडीएफएस पे नहीं जाता, वो प्रॉक्सी पे जाता है, फिर प्रॉक्सी से एडीएफएस पे जाता है। तो बहुत सारे बिट्स एंड पीसेस हैं, वो हम उसी टाइम पे डिस्कस करेंगे, अभी मैं ज्यादा कॉम्प्लिकेट नहीं करना चाहता।
राइट नौशाद भाई।
ADFS तो अपने आप में एक बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक है, उसको
बहुत बड़ा टॉपिक है जी हाँ।
दिमाग घूम जाता है।
तो ये तीनों चीजें क्लियर हो गई आपको सब लोगों को, इन क्लाउड,
तो नौशाद,
एज़्योर एडी कनेक्ट एंड। हाँ,
ये एडीएफएस होता कहाँ है? हम कहाँ इसको सेटअप करते हैं? लोकल
अपने अपने ऑन प्रीम पे।
अच्छा, ये कंप्लीट अलग ही सेटअप होता है सर्वर वाला?
कंप्लीट अलग सेटअप है। जैसे आप एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी इंस्टॉल करने के लिए एडीडीएस इंस्टॉल करते हैं ना,
हम्म।
एडीएफएस के लिए एडीएफएस सर्विस इंस्टॉल करना पड़ता है, एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी फेडरेशन सर्विस।
तो नॉर्मल डोमेन और एक फेडरेटेड डोमेन में क्या वो डिफरेंस होता है?
फेडरेटेड डोमेन में डिफरेंस, जैसे देखिए आपका अपना एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी जो था,
हाँ,
उसमें जो यूजर आईडी क्रिएटेड है उससे आप अपना फाइल सर्वर एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, अपना एप्लीकेशन एक्सेस कर सकते हैं, अपना सीआरएम एक्सेस कर सकते हैं। लेकिन यहाँ पे आप एक एप्लीकेशन ऐसा एक्सेस कर रहे हैं जो कि किसी दूसरी कंपनी के पास है।
ओके।
तो वो जो एप्लीकेशन उस दूसरी कंपनी ने इंस्टॉल किया है वो सर्वर किसी और डोमेन से ज्वाइंट होगा, राइट? तो अब या तो उस डोमेन पे जो यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड है वो आप यूज कीजिए, या अगर आप अपने डोमेन का यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड यूज करके उस एप्लीकेशन को यूज करना चाहते हैं जो दूसरी कंपनी के पास है, तो आपको एडीएफएस यूज करना पड़ेगा।
ओके, तो वो दूसरा जो डोमेन है उसको फेडरेटेड डोमेन बोलते हैं?
मतलब इस एनवायरनमेंट को जो बनाते हैं इसको फेडरेटेड एनवायरनमेंट कहते हैं।
फेडरेट, ओके।
हाँ।
And how it moves, like simply when we connect to a computer, then एक जो आपने बताया था चेन की, how it moves, first connectivity कहाँ जाती है, and then
मैं इसमें ना एक एक किस तरह की रिक्वेस्ट, कैसे टोकन जनरेट होता है, कैसे क्लेम एक्सेस होता है, क्या स्टेप बाय मैं सब चीज उसमें जाऊंगा, लेकिन अभी नहीं, थोड़ा सा इंतजार कर लीजिए, मे बी सेकेंड वीक और थर्ड वीक में हम उसको कवर करेंगे।
okay.
एडीएफएस जो है ना बहुत कॉम्प्लिकेट, अगर मैं उसमें अगर गया तो फिर ऑफिस 365 जो मैं बताने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ वो सब भूल जाएंगे।
नहीं, थोड़ा थोड़ा जाना पड़ेगा।
हाँ जाना पड़ेगा, लेकिन थोड़ा जितना जाना था मैं अभी चला गया उसमें, उससे ज्यादा जाना ना फिर वो मुश्किल पैदा कर देगा।
तो ये लाइव कॉन्फ़िगरेशन हम नहीं करेंगे इसका?
इसका ADFS का ये
हाँ।
टेस्ट एनवायरनमेंट में ना, इसमें इतने सारे बिट्स एंड पीसेस हैं कि टेस्ट एनवायरनमेंट में करना इसको इतना easy नहीं है। आपको अलग से एक डोमेन चाहिए, सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए, DMZ जोन क्रिएट करके चाहिए, बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। सो आई डोंट नो कि कितना उसमें कर पाएंगे टेस्ट एनवायरनमेंट में, लेकिन जितने भी डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स आपको रिक्वायर्ड हैं और वो डिफरेंट कंपोनेंट्स आपस में कैसे काम करते हैं वो मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन करूंगा।
ओके।
नौशाद भाई, हम ADFS की सर्विसेज हम जैसे थर्ड पार्टी ADFS सोल्यूशन होते हैं ओक्टा, इनके पास से भी तो फ्री ट्रायल मिल जाते हैं।
हाँ, मैंने यार कभी यूज नहीं किया आज तक उनको, तो आई डोंट नो कि कैसे हम उनको यहाँ पे इंटीग्रेट कर सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं। बाकी आप किसी भी कंपनी में जहां जाएंगे, अगर कोई फिटरेटेड एनवायरनमेंट यूज कर रहा है तो इट विल मोस्टली बी ADFS। लेकिन हम वही अगर नहीं कर पाए तो फिर इट डजंट मेक एनी सेंस।
नहीं, ADFS जैसे आई हैव लॉट्स ऑफ क्लाइंट, वो ADFS सर्वर भी इंस्टॉल कर रखा है। कुछ क्लाइंट है जो थर्ड पार्टी सोल्यूशन लेते हैं फेडरेशन, जैसे ओक्टा है और एक दो और है। तो वहां से अगर हम ट्राई करके एक लैब में अगर ऐड करना चाहे तो
कोशिश कर लेंगे, उसमें कोई बुराई नहीं है। लेकिन क्योंकि मैंने वो थर्ड पार्टी एप्लीकेशन को कभी यूज किया नहीं है, तो मैं R&D में ज्यादा टाइम ड्यूरिंग ट्रेनिंग सेशन में नहीं वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ, लेकिन कोशिश करके देख लेंगे एक बार।
ओके।
तो अभी जो जितना हमने बाद में डिस्कस किया, जो लोग Office 365 से अनअवेयर हैं वो सब भूल जाइए, मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला। वापस से आ जाइए कि ऑथेंटिकेशन की जो 3 टाइप्स मैंने आपको बताए हैं, इन क्लाउड जिसमें 2 डिफरेंट यूजर आईडी क्रिएट करके चाहिए, Azure AD Connect जिसमें आपका ऑनलाइन जो अपने ऑन प्रेम एक्टिव डायरेक्टरी है वो ऑनलाइन के साथ सिंक हो जाता है, सेम यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड आप दोनों सर्विसेज के लिए यूज कर सकते हैं, और थर्ड है ADFS। ये सब लोगों को क्लियर हो गया या कोई क्वेश्चन है? Please do ask before I move forward. I have no problem explaining it couple of more times than moving on without clearing these things. Zaid, clear है सब कुछ? ठीक है, तो वापस से आ जाइए Office 365 पे। तो यहाँ यूजर अकाउंट हमने बनाया, लाइसेंस साइन किया, उसका मेल बॉक्स क्रिएट हो गया, लेकिन इससे पहले भी बहुत सारी चीजें करने की हैं, तो इसको क्लोज कर देते हैं। Office 365 हमने क्यों लिया है? क्यों, जो उसमें मेन सर्विस हमें चाहिए ईमेल सेंड करने के लिए और रिसीव करने के लिए। ईमेल सेंड रिसीव करने के लिए सबसे पहली चीज हमें क्या चाहिए? हमारा डोमेन। जो हमारे डोमेन है, मान लीजिए Olivtech इज माय कंपनी, तो अगर कोई ईमेल भेजेगा तो वो rahul@olivtechsolutions.olivtech.com या हमारे यहाँ से जाएगी तो उस डोमेन से जाएगी। तो वो डोमेन अभी हमने सेटअप नहीं किया कि कौन से डोमेन पे मेल आएगी और कौन से डोमेन से मेल जाएगी। That domain has to be set up first, even before you create your user IDs. So how do we set up the domain? When you log into Office 365, you go to Setup, click on Domains. So this is created by default. You don't have to do anything with this. You will add a domain. For example, your domain name is olivetechsolutions.com, olivetechsolutions.com. This is my domain, okay? So say next. Now the second option, it says, it asks you to verify the domain. वेरीफाई करना जरूरी है। अगर मान लीजिए मैं यहाँ पे ऐड कर दूं microsoft.com, तो क्या Microsoft डोमेन में ऑन करता हूँ, कैसे ऑफिस को प्रूव करूंगा? या मैं ऐड कर दूं hcl.com, तो क्या मैं अपने यूजर को hcl.com पे ईमेल आईडी बना के दे सकता हूँ? नहीं. I will have to prove that I really own this domain. I am the owner of this domain. So how do you prove that? जहां से वो डोमेन आपने लिया है GoDaddy से या किसी भी डिफरेंट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से, वहां पे आपका कोई यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड होगा. तो मान लीजिए GoDaddy से आपने लिया है, तो साइन इन टू गो. इसने GoDaddy यहाँ पे डायरेक्टली क्यों दिया? क्योंकि इट डिड अ सर्च, ऑफिस से सर्च किया एंड इट फाउंड आउट कि जो ये डोमेन है वो GoDaddy पे होस्टेड है. अगर ये नेटवर्क सॉल्यूशंस पे होता है या किसी होस्ट गेटर पे होता है, कहीं और होता, तो ये उसका ऑप्शन आपको देता. या अगर ये नहीं रिकॉग्नाइज कर पाता, तो फिर आपको दूसरा ऑप्शन जो है एड अ txt रिकॉर्ड. अगर आप txt रिकॉर्ड करें और नेक्स्ट करें, इट विल गिव यू वैल्यू. ये वैल्यू आप यहां से कॉपी करेंगे, जहां से भी जिस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आपने अपना डोमेन लिया है वहां लॉगिन करेंगे, वहां एक txt रिकॉर्ड क्रिएट करेंगे और ये वैल्यू वहां पे पेस्ट करेंगे. और पेस्ट करने के बाद वहां वो रिकॉर्ड बन गया txt रिकॉर्ड. यहां से फिर आप क्लिक करेंगे वेरीफाई. ये मैच करेगा कि वहां का जो txt वैल्यू है इस वाले txt वैल्यू से मैच करता है कि नहीं करता है. अगर मैच करता है तो अकाउंट वेरीफाई, ये डोमेन वेरीफाई हो जाएगा. फिर आप अपने यूजर्स को वो डोमेन आईडी बना के उस डोमेन पे आईडीज बना के दे सकते हैं. अगर आप डोमेन ऑन नहीं करते हैं, आपके पास GoDaddy का या उसका क्रेडेंशियल नहीं होगा, आप वहां पे टेक्स्ट रिकॉर्ड नहीं बना पाएंगे, वैल्यू वहां पेस्ट नहीं कर पाएंगे, तो ये वेरीफाई नहीं हो पाएगा. एंड देन यू विल नेवर बी एबल टू यूज दैट. राइट. सो मैं इसको करता हूं, गो बैक, साइन इन टू GoDaddy. सेटअप इन प्रोग्रेस. अब मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? GoDaddy पे लॉगिन करके इस रिक्वेस्ट को ऑथोराइज करना पड़ेगा वहां जाके, तो वो हम कर लेंगे. अब ये डोमेन वेरीफाई हो गया. अब इसमें आप देख रहे हैं कि ये वाला डिफॉल्ट दिखा रहा है, ये वाला डिफॉल्ट नहीं दिखा रहा है. डिफॉल्ट का मतलब क्या होता है? जो भी यूजर आईडी डोमेन आप किसी यूजर का मेल बॉक्स जो बनाएंगे, उसमें बाय डिफॉल्ट ईमेल आईडी कौन से डोमेन की बनेगी. तो अभी जो बनेगी वो olivetex on microsoft.com बनेगी. अगर मैं इसको डिफॉल्ट कर दूं तो ईमेल आईडी olivetechsolutions.com पे बनेगी. डोमेन आपने सेटअप कर दिया. Now you are ready to provide mailboxes to the users. Is it really done? Is there anything else, or if there is anything else required? email ID send receive करने के लिए सिर्फ डोमेन ऐड करने से हो जाएगा?
नहीं सर, MX रिकॉर्ड भी होंगे.
एग्जैक्टली. DNS रिकॉर्ड्स बनाने पड़ेंगे हमें. कौन कौन से DNS रिकॉर्ड बनाने पड़ेंगे? MX रिकॉर्ड बनाना पड़ेगा. और अगर आप यहाँ जाएंगे आपको ये दिखाएगा स्टार्ट सेटअप. ये मैंने ऐड नहीं किया है इसलिए व्यू नहीं दिखा रहा है. मे बी इसको वेरीफाई कर दें या फिर ऑन माइक्रोसॉफ्ट वाले पे दिखाएगा. देख रहे हैं? It's not showing those records.
सो जैसे आप वेरीफाई कर देंगे ना, ये वेरीफाई वाला पेज नहीं आएगा. नेक्स्ट
फिर वो
पेज
है,
आपका रैकेट्स वाले आएंगे.
हाँ वो रिकॉर्ड्स. मैं मुझे लगा शायद ऑन माइक्रोसॉफ्ट पे वो दिखा दे, लेकिन नहीं दिखा रहा है. तो इसको जैसे ही वेरीफाई करेंगे जो भी रिकॉर्ड्स आपको चाहिए वो दिखाएगा. एज इट इज रिकॉर्ड्स अपने DNS प्रोवाइडर पे जाके बना दीजिए, सेम वैल्यू, एंड यू विल बी ऑल सेट. अगर आप स्काइप यूज करना चाह रहे हैं, उसके लिए आपको एक SRV रिकॉर्ड बनाना पड़ेगा वहां पे. और क्या, और भी हैं 2-3 रिकॉर्ड्स. एंड
SPF रिकॉर्ड, SIP रिकॉर्ड एंड SPF.
SIP रिकॉर्ड हो गया, नहीं SRV रिकॉर्ड हो गया, MX रिकॉर्ड हो गया फॉर पॉइंटिंग. आपके TXT रिकॉर्ड आप बाद में उसको चेंज करेंगे फॉर SPF के लिए. और एक दो चीजें हैं शायद और भी, वो भी याद नहीं आ रहा मुझे, देख लेंगे हम इसमें. सो वो फिर सेटअप हो जाएगा। उसके बाद फिर आप अपने यूजर को ईमेल आईडीज बना के देना शुरू कर सकते हैं। तो मैं आज ये नहीं करूंगा, बहुत से लोग हैं जो ज्वाइन नहीं हो पाए हैं और एक नया टॉपिक भी है, तो ये रिकॉर्डिंग मैं अभी ही शेयर, आई विल नॉट वेट, मैं वेट करता हूं तो मैं बिजी हो जाता हूं और मैं वो शेयर नहीं कर पाता हूँ। ये इस सेशन की रिकॉर्डिंग आपको नेक्स्ट एन आवर जैसे ही अपलोड हो जाता है मिल जाएगा। गो थ्रू दिस अगेन एंड अगेन। कल फिर हम इसका डीएनएस रिकॉर्ड सेटअप करके ईमेल आईडीज वगैरह बनाएंगे, फिर ऑफिस 365 के फीचर्स देखेंगे। वो इसके फीचर्स तो आप लोग बहुत हद तक देख ही चुके हैं एक्सचेंज ऑनलाइन के। हम एक्सचेंज ऑनलाइन पे अब ज्यादा हमें टाइम इन्वेस्ट करने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी क्योंकि वी हैव ऑलरेडी गॉन थ्रू दैट। थोड़े बहुत चेंजेस हैं वो देख लेंगे, अदरवाइज वी विल मोस्टली कवर द ऑफिस 365 फीचर्स। तो आज के लिए मैं इतना ही रखूंगा। आई विल शेयर द रिकॉर्डिंग्स विद यू shortly. Go through that and see you tomorrow. If you
Okay.
have any questions, please do ask. No questions? Varun? Satya?
Nishad, this is Raj.
Yes, Raj.
So last time, I had made a setup for Office 365 free trial, but that was expired. So now
Uh-huh.
I need to do it again. So one thing, before going to Office 365, we need to make a free domain, take a domain from Freenom.
You can take it from there. They will give it to you.
Okay, so last time what I did, first of all, I went to Microsoft Office 365 and it created their own domain like on Microsoft.com. So whenever
Okay.
user was being created, it was created with the domain on Microsoft.com. But
Right.
later on, I changed it. Would be there any impact if later on it is changed or the
It is
same?
said that don't, you cannot actually delete or remove this on my, it is always going to be there.
Okay, like you did here right now,
Yeah.
setup in Windows.
So you can always leave it there.
ओके एंड द जो ऑटोमेटिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर जो क्रिएट होता है,
Uh-huh.
तो जो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जो क्रिएट होता है वही मेन एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होगा, राइट?
हाँ,
लेटर ऑन,
मेन ग्लोबल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर होता है वो।
पर
और
लेटर ऑन वी कैन,
उसका लाइसेंस आप हटाना चाहें तो हटा सकते हैं अगर, क्योंकि वो सिर्फ एडमिन पर्पस के लिए यूज होगा, तो उसके लिए एक लाइसेंस वेस्ट करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं। आप उसका लाइसेंस हटा सकते हैं। एंड और आप इसमें हम और जाएंगे, देयर आर मल्टीपल एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव अकाउंट्स, अलग अलग पर्पस के लिए अलग अलग राइट्स आप देख के अलग अलग अकाउंट को यूज कर सकते हैं। तो विल गो थ्रू दैट टू।
ओके, थैंक यू।
एनीथिंग एल्स?
नो, इट्स ऑल राइट फॉर नाउ।
Good then. So go through that. Please do buy a domain, create a free trial account of E3 or E5, whatever you want, on the Office 365 and do test it tonight. And when we see tomorrow, we'll cover other things.
Okay, Nishad bhai.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.